Hey, how's it going? It's, Sunday, February 20th, 2011. I am so blocked up, and I sound like a turtle, if a turtle could speak, and speak like this. So, um, I'm sorry, there's not really much I can do. So, if it's really a little bit difficult to understand me, or if I just sound funny, just feel free to laugh at my expense. Um, So that's what's happening. I'm doing all right. How are you doing? So I wanted to change things up in this video and just see what people feel. And because most videos it's like this person just made me feel like, or you know, um, should I should I call Kat and apologize and whatnot? And I'll go ahead and make fun of my own self because I do get a little bit too serious and wrapped up in a lot of things. And the problem with that is I feel like sometimes it's a little bit limiting in terms of you all kind of getting to know me, because a lot of my personality comes through with, pretty much making fun of other people. I'm just kidding. It's not, it's not true at all. Seriously. In fact, that's one nice fact about myself. I would say in the past couple of years, I really have not made fun of people, like professionally. So anyway, so talking about other people, not myself, uh, was the one thing that it's still a little different and unnerving sometimes. It's just that sometimes I'll be tying my shoelace if I'm wearing shoes with shoelaces, and I'll feel something or I'll see something in my peripheral vision, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a creepy bug, and it's like darkish brown, black or something, and then I realize it's just my hair, and sometimes it's just tickling me, and yeah, just it's kind of weird. Also, too, if well, at least for the short while that I was laying down next to somebody, uh, my hair just gets stuck and people fall asleep on it and it hurts. So, coming from me, it's best to tie up your hair before going to bed. Things I learned after the fact. So, what was I going to say? So, I've got my tea, I've got some water, and I've got my rag of bodily fluids that messes with the white balance of the camera. See? Look. Whoa. Whoa. Look at, I've got lots of power. That's right. I've got control of my own destiny. Mess up the white balance. Bam. Restore it. Bam. So, um, so anywho, talking about just things that I find on the internet. I feel like it's always interesting just typing the word transgender, transgendered into Google, and of course the Google AdSense, just the ads just find a way to aggravate me and be offensive, and I'm just like, no, I'm not looking for escort services from Thailand. I mean, really? Google, I mean, come on. I mean, even Alta Vista didn't do that to me. No. Or Angel Fire or GeoCities. Now Yahoo. Well, Yahoo will do that. But anyways, that's not the point. So, pushing that aside, just like finding things on the news feeds is always interesting because I'm curious about what makes the news and what's the general thought, um, as far as with all these reporters and what they're bringing to light. Because as I'm reading this book right here, so if my my dear and dedicated people who watch this, you're gonna have to deal with my gross sounds. So as you're watching these videos, you might want to wear headphones while watching them. Otherwise, people will wonder, what? What are you watching? What is that? It's coughing. So every once in a while, I should take a break and drink a little beverage. So as I was saying, take a break. Okay. I wish I could just point to this and then my thoughts would just, just like watching the Wonder Years and you could hear my inner monologue talking to you. I wish that could just magically happen. So I guess with some video editing, but I'm lazy right now. Julia Serrano's Whipping Girl, and excellent book. I think I should blow my nose. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna blow my nose. And one of the things she was talking about was how the media kind of sensationalizes certain aspects of trans women. And, trans women make up a percentage, not the whole of being transgendered. But, anywho, but just how the media focuses and sensationalizes certain aspects, and it's usually the physical aspects, or outrageous stories, or, just things that don't really tap into more depth. So, here is, like one article, for instance. Let me actually pull this up. So, the Mercury News in Silicon Valley, or Silicon, reports that in San Francisco, that's right, in San Francisco, the liberal bastion, the last stronghold of the United States of America for LGBTQ. A trans woman received a personal letter at her home from a DMV clerk who helped her through the process of obtaining a new license. And basically, I was reading this earlier, the person wrote, for the DMV, wrote her a letter saying that her gender change on her license and such was a very evil decision. And the same clerk had been accused previously of refusing to assist another transgender woman and quit his job back in December. So, I don't know. This person's being sued for invasion of something. What's it called? Looking for the language here. Language is important. I love how, see, back in the days, newspapers used to have more information. It actually used to be very boring. It used to have depth. And now, like, you can get away with writing an article that's only, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences long. Anyways, so yeah, this is an invasion of privacy. Or as they say in Britain, privacy. So, it's really interesting. That there are some places for me that I feel like are hot spots where I get a little bit tense. The hot spots for me are bathrooms, around children in some environments, because it's just like, I want to, I get nervous, I get nervous because I'm like, the people, the age group, the people that I care about passing the most are with children, which I think is kind of silly, but it's something I'm trying to work out of my system, and I think a lot of that has to do with my fears of things ingrained into me. But we'll have to talk about that another time. So we've got that. Police stations. I think that, like, Do I go into the male or the female section in case something does happen? No, that worries me in the ways that I'm treated. Uh, Another place is the DMV. Uh, the DMV is very like a lot of, it doesn't matter who you are. A lot of your personal information is unearthed, and it's just constantly like in question or being evaluated, or a lot of your abilities and such are under question and under evaluation. And of course, a big thing is, when you look at your sex, it's like M or F, and it's such a huge thing. And for me, it's always interesting. I'll have to talk more about IDs and such, but it hasn't been an issue so far. But yeah, I mean, there are times where people look at my ID and they're like, "Whoa." Uh, but anyways, and they think that I'm like using somebody else's ID, and I'm like, not really. Just no, not really. So the DMV is one of those places where it's just kind of like, it's just nerve-wracking, and I'd say that the DMV in my town, like the big one, is it's for the most part okay. Some people are very friendly and kind. A lot of folks are just kind of very, I don't know, very old school. And they all kind of just frighten me. So, I don't know. That would be pretty unnerving, It's just like, okay, so you want to write me a letter, and you don't like me. Okay, that's cool. So, I don't know. It's gonna be many more years until I have to worry about renewing my license, but hopefully by then I will have already graduated college. Graduated? Yeah, graduated is the right word. And, just had a lot of legal things taken care of. So, so another story I found was titled Mixed Emotions After Michigan School Moves to Gender Neutral Prom Court. Let's see. The Michigan high school's decision to allow gender-neutral prom court this spring after denying a transgendered student the title of homecoming king last fall has angered and disappointed some current and former students. Let's see what's going on here. Lots of words. This one has more than 5 sentences. I actually didn't look over this one. Let's see. Okay. So as a result, of a lot of controversy with the homecoming king and such, the school has decided to just make it gender neutral in terms of who gets crowned and whatnot. So, I think that's pretty cool. And then there's one quote from a student: "In all honesty, I strongly disagree with it." Well, whatever. Good for you. I do not think it's right for the school district to make a decision like this based on one student. So that's what I was thinking too. So long as people think that LGBTQ laws are being made for specific people, or one person in this case, so long as people think in that type of framework, there will always be work to be done. LGBTQ people don't need laws and policies to be changed so that they can accept themselves on a legal or on a policy level. If we had the right to just go ahead and change things, we would have done it already. We're okay with ourselves for the most part. These policies and these changes are for you people who don't identify in that spectrum. And it's more putting society in question, under trial. And I think when people talk about changes like this, they call it like these progressive or these liberal or these weird or these, you know, step in the wrong direction. All these changes. It's our society, this society, our society is on trial, and the response, like, and disagree with it, is really an insecurity. It's an insecure response to being placed on trial. And I think that it would be interesting that even if people disagreed off the bat with some changes, to understand where these feelings and responses come from. Because, for one thing, people who are lesbians, bisexual, gay, straight, transgendered, all sorts of directions, all are birthed from heterosexual, heteronormative people. That's just kind of a reality, and it's just what happens. So, the question is, so now that society's on trial, how do we respond? Are we cool? Are we down? Are we going to change? Are we going to grow? And you can't resist growth. And that's really interesting because there's just so many things on different levels. And I'm going to go on a tangent here for a second, but it's something that I'm noticing on a national level. 1 second. Snot rag time. Snot rag time, that's right. So ever since Obama became president, the right has definitely organized and unified in a very strong kind of way. Sometimes in a very extreme kind of way. And I don't like using the word extreme, but when you call yourself a teabagger and you're okay with that. I'm not talking about the ideas, but when you can go out of your house and be okay with being called a teabagger, I think that your ideas have become a little bit extreme. That's just an opinion. Anyways, so I doubt that many teabaggers watch my videos anyways. So, teabaggers. No. Props for being very out and courageous about that name. But anyways, my point is, so One Direction has mobilized and organized in a way that's very cohesive and strong. But when it comes to immigration, when it comes to women's reproductive rights, when it comes to LGBTQ rights, all sorts of different things, regardless of where you identify all along these different things, it seems like a lot of things are moving backwards. And that just kind of concerns me, because it's like, that's the whole point of like having books and then kind of having computers to record things, so we have a memory of what we've done and where we've, pardon my language, where we've fucked up. And kind of like a journal, for instance. I write in my journal a lot. I write about the times where I've fucked up. Sometimes I won't, but I'll look at something in the future, well, in the present, and look at things in the past and be like, I fucked up. And that's the thing, is having memory of like when something isn't working, and then working to remedy it, and then working to grow from it. And growth should not just be called being liberal or progressive, it's just called growth, and that just makes sense. That's just me, again, opinions. So technology, all these things, So it's just things are moving backwards, and there's less ideas being put out there, so we just resort to our fears. So, or maybe things aren't actually changing at all. Like maybe things aren't moving backwards. Maybe, no, maybe it's just that people are just becoming more vocal in all areas. So it just changes the perception of what's actually happening. I don't know, but I do like going on tangents and such. Anyways, so that's that. I can't imagine, coming out in high school. Like, that's just so much bravery. And then also to actually compete for friggin' homecoming. Um, that's pretty awesome. It's just like, not only am I transgendered, I also think I can do this too. And there's a lot of weight. There's a lot to be considered. There's like the confusion of being who you are and just in general what you're trying to do with your life. So, awesome job to Sam Cooper and the folks at Mana Shores High School who are working to redesign Prom. Sorry, this isn't Homecoming. Sorry, wait. No, that was Homecoming. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. So, all right. There's some changes. So I was reading another article about the model, Leah T. And I actually want to like look up her her interview and such with Oprah, and I'm confused by Oprah. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm just confused by Oprah. But I like some of the things in the interview, although some of it, I mean, obviously, like, just as I was saying in this book, that the media kind of focuses on the physical aspects of what happens in transitioning. And 99.99% of transitioning is all in your heart and in your brains. The rest, is important. But, anywho, that's another opinion. But one of the things I was reading about, Leah was saying, when she was younger, I was hoping I was gay, she said, because for my family it would be less painful, and then I could have a normal life. And let's see. Okay, some of the things I find kind of, I disagree with in terms of Leah's opinions and such, but that's cool. That's cool. But I was just thinking about how when I was younger, I didn't know how to process being transgendered because there weren't any examples. Not on TV, not in my school, not in my community that I knew of. So for me, it's just like it wasn't, it's sort of like, it's a concept. To me, it was a concept that hadn't existed, so therefore it wasn't a possibility. So it was like, I just didn't know that I could be. It sounds kind of silly to say that, but I just didn't know that I could be transgender. Like, I didn't know that that was an option. So, for a long time, I was thinking, well, maybe I'm just gay, and that's that. And actually, for a long while, in my teen years, my family did think I was gay, based on the way that I would carry about my behaviors and the way that my mannerisms and such, and based on the fact that I also hung out with other friends who were not necessarily open, but kind of not openly gay. So, I mean, you know, two ducks are gay, the third one's got, I don't know. That wasn't a good metaphor. But the idea is, there are two birds of a feather. That's the one I was looking for, the two birds of a feather. Or something like that, or flocking in dogs and stuff. I don't know. I need to read more books. So, for a long time I just thought it would be a lot easier if I just accepted that, like that was my fate, that I'm just gay, and it would make me feel better, and I'd feel like I came out, and everything would be wonderful. And in school, in my junior year, was actually pretty miserable, because that was the year that it wasn't just my school year. Like, just to give you an idea, I graduated from You're a trooper. You're a trooper. By the time I finish this video, there will be no makeup left on my face. I just love storytelling, and I'm dedicated. So, in my junior year, I faced a lot of difficulties, and I was saying that in my class alone, there are about 360 students, or 344 rather, graduating, and about 360 something students altogether. But that was just my graduating year. Now multiply that by 4, and that was the size of my school, basically. And the school was actually set up in a very the planning for my school was based off of the same structure as a prison. They thought, in designing a school like a prison, that it'd be a lot easier to maintain students. There's even an inner courtyard that feels just like a prison courtyard. So it wasn't just a metaphor. It was, anyways. So I mean, a lot of students in that entire school would constantly chant fag, or just all sorts of like derisive comments. Are you gay? One of the things about me was that I carried a bag of makeup and skincare products with me. I dressed differently from a majority of students, where it was cool to wear baggy, hip-hop, city clothing, and I was, I feel like I invented the metrosexual look. That's just my opinion. But, so, I mean, all signs were pointing that I was different, and that difference was interpreted as me being gay. And that was a negative thing in my school. So, and I never denied, when people would ask me, are you gay? I never said no. I never said yes either. Because I couldn't say yes. I didn't know. But what I felt was something different. So I couldn't say no. So, gender identity and expression and sexual orientation were just really massive things for me to try to figure out. And as a 16-year-old, like, there were no resources that I could turn to in my high school or around the area. So, I was kind of stuck. So, I don't know. For a long time, I was just like, so, I feel like I should be gay. I feel different. But saying that I'm gay just doesn't seem sufficient enough. And this would be the case for a long time. Like, just wish I had some sort of like category or label I could give myself, somewhere where I could fit in. But I pretty much kept wandering, put it aside, and would find myself complacent in relationships that weren't great. And all these years never really revisited it until I had the space in a completely new environment. So yeah, I don't know. That was a long sidestep there, but I can definitely relate to just this idea of like hoping that there's a template that I can follow that would be pretty accessible, pretty easy, but didn't find it for 28 years. And when we tell youth, be yourself and be courageous and be strong, I think that it's a really valid thing to say. It's great, but at the same time, I think it's so important to provide an array of different possibilities that help validate confusion. And I didn't have that. And it's really interesting too, because with trans folks, the attempted suicide rate is pretty high. Absolutely high. It's approximately pretty close to 75% of all trans folks before the age of 30, or by the age of 30, have at least attempted to commit suicide at least once. And once, I mean, that's an accurate description. For me, it was many times. So, I mean, I was lucky that I got to the point where I did in my life, that I could finally find a spot where I could kind of come out, and then really come out. But I feel like it's just so important to be there at that early age. Not necessarily like say, you are gay or you're transgendered, but just to be like, well, here's a spot, and take your time. Take your time, and here are some people who, just, don't fit this norm, heteronormative norm. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. So that would have been crucial. So, with the previous story with the homecoming king and such, it's really interesting to see how the layers are starting to peel off, and suddenly we're getting closer to a core where, regardless of the oppression or the right wings stepping up, there's something undeniably powerful about the truth and the desires for self-awareness. Like, it just can't be stopped. So that's just, I would say that's an opinion, but it's an opinion / kind of truth. I don't know, that's what I like to believe. So so that's that. And so many things. Wow, my video is 33 minutes long. So kind of before I wrap up this video, here is a very important bit that I wish I had known about many moons ago. So I'm gonna take a sip of this tea. So I had started smoking again. I stopped smoking for 7 months, and I stopped months before I got on hormone therapy. And I was pretty proud of myself, because it's like, this is a very strong addiction that I have. It's not like, coffee or whatnot. Like, I just couldn't stop it. just love tobacco itself. I love the ritual of smoking. I love the social aspects of smoking. I like smoking with a little bit of alcohol. I like smoking playing guitar. It's just like it's associated with lots of things. So I stopped, and I was really, I did it. I did it for a while, and suddenly lots of stresses started coming in my life, and so lots of questions and uncertainties. And suddenly I found myself, thinking, what do I do when I start feeling this anxious or this worried? I start smoking. And so I started smoking again right around November, and a little bit. December it started to pick up a little bit more, just a little bit. Come January, I was back on it again, just like back in the days when I used to smoke a lot. And I just, it was just something that I felt like I felt alienated with lots of things. And, I'll talk more about that, but more specifically what I wanted to talk about was just, everyone knows about, or not everyone, it's a very dangerous assumption. Some people know about the effects of estrogen and smoking, in the sense that it causes blood clotting, and then can go towards the direction of deep vein thrombosis, shutting down your heart, or paralyzing you, or lots and lots of bad things, basically. And you really can't tell. There's no warnings until it just actually does happen. So with that said, I found lots and lots of studies. Lots and lots of studies basically saying, and also like many areas of verified research that just basically says that smoking, the presence of nicotine, almost cancels out hormone therapy. It lowers your estrogen levels by preventing receptors of estrogen from actually happening, so it just blocks it. So whatever's happening just doesn't happen anymore. And here's, vanity-stricken Christina, who's like, what? It's interfering with the way it makes me look? How dare it? And I was just saying earlier to my roommate, just that, like, I don't really want RJ Reynolds getting in the way of my transitioning. I don't want that. Nope, I don't want anyone getting in the way of my transitioning at all. I'm just that stubborn. So besides, like, I was just thinking, well, smoking, lung cancer, emphysema, loss of bone density, osteoporosis, blood clotting, all these different things. They're all very serious things. They're all very over time things. And suddenly there's this more immediate thing that's just like, by the way, your hormone therapy with estrogen is being canceled out. So, tough shit. So yeah, I mean, I feel even better about quitting. It's been 6 days of not smoking. That's right, 6 days. Which is why my body's probably doing all these funky things. Saying, here's what you get for messing with me. It's like I do all this hard work with regenerating and trying to fix things and cleaning up, and you just come in here with your cigarettes and set your feet and eat my food. I don't know what that metaphor meant, but or means, but but you get the idea. So yeah, I mean, that's just something to take into consideration. Like, if you smoke, And if you're on estrogen, I mean, you might as well just stop your hormone therapy, because that's basically what it's doing. So that's just something to take into consideration. And for me, I mean, there is peace of mind knowing that estrogen is working like little gnomes throughout my body and just changing things, rearranging things. That gives me comfort. Um, so, so yeah. And there's a lot of psychological things happening too. Like there's the balance of estrogen and testosterone, all these different things. And like when there's a shift in the hormonal balance, I mean, I would immediately feel kind of depressed after a cigarette. Like I'd take a few puffs and I would actually start to feel sad, not because I was smoking and hurting myself. I would just feel sad. So, obviously my body is very sensitive, and a lot was going on. So, I just thought I would share that. And I might be sensationalizing some of the effects to some extent, but it is true. It does cancel out a lot of estrogen. On the flip side, it doesn't mean for folks who are taking testosterone, to go ahead and like start smoking cigarettes in the hopes of quicker and stronger and more potent effects. Absolutely not. Don't. So I'm gonna be a stickler. I'm gonna be a mother about this. I'm gonna be a dare kid. I'm sorry, a dare kid, not the antlers and stuff, but D-A-R-E kid. Uh, anyways, and all this stuff happens too. Stuffy nose, burning the throat. You don't want that. Makes longer videos longer. You actually have to sit through this. So, anyways, more reasons to not smoke. So that's the news from me, and thank you for tuning in. This is a long video, but I'm thinking Sunday nights, my long videos, just for fun. Kind of off topic, on topic, all over the place. Get to know me a little bit more. So, anywho, thanks for watching, and if you have interesting stories you'd like to share and like me to kind of bring them up in my videos, feel free to do so. And or just want to talk and chat, ask me questions. Yeah, I'm here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for watching me blow my nose 5 times and coughing and doing weird things. So you all rock. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Live long and prosper.